Hey there, I'm Sir Classy. Welcome to another tutorial on SC And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to get a great vocal mix using only stock plugins in FL Studio, from the tuning to the compression to the EQ and even the mastering stage, all stock plugins. And we're going to get a great vocal mix. Hit the subscribe button and let's get started. Before we get started, it may help if you download the stems for this project, that is the beat and the vocal, which will help you follow along easily. That's if you don't have your own tracks to practice with. But if you do, you don't have to download it. But if you don't, you can download it to help you learn much faster. All right, then let's get started. Hello there. So when you download this project file, this is what you're going to see. It's going to be in a zipped or rather an archive folder like this. So you're going to make sure you have an extractor, maybe WinRAR or WinZip, and extract it to the folder. And you're going to have it in a folder like this. This is for the beat and this is for the vocal. You simply select this, drag and drop into your interface, and it's going to look something like this. You can make sure you move them all the way to the beginning. And to get the tempo, you have to make sure your tempo is set. So make sure you double click. Let me maximize the screen right now. Then you right click, detect tempo. So here it says 96 BPM. Most times it's accurate, so it sets it to 96 BPM. The beat and the vocal, to make sure it all lines up with listening. We'll solo the, or rather, let's play both with the metronome on, and then we'll listen. Alright, it sounds pretty accurate. So we'll link this to the mixer to make sure that it's ready for mixing. Control L, then we'll come back, select this again, come to the mixer right here, then Control L again. Now we have both in the mixer, and now it's time to start mixing. So the first stage to a great mix is gain staging. So to gain stage, when we play back our beat, we can hear that the vocal is really at the bottom, doesn't sound as loud as it should be. The beat is overwhelmingly loud, so there are ways to go around this. One of the ways I recommend is for you to turn down the beat considerably, then we'll play it back and listen. See, that sounds fine. Another way we can get it done, you can normalize the vocal, and you may normalize the beat too, and then we'll listen back and see. No chaser, but my spliff no filter. But you can notice the downside to normalize that it can bring up the background noise in the vocal, so we don't want that. So it's best we stick to the previous. So it's better we gain stage by adjusting this volume down. No chaser, but my spliff no filter. Now, at the first stage, it's not really important to get your gain staging perfect in the beginning, because you're going to do a lot of things like to change how the perceived loudness is going to be. So you just want to get to a point where, okay, you can hear enough of the vocals to make decisions. You can can even make the vocals just a bit louder than the beat, but just to hear the vocals enough to make decisions. So when we play it all across, no chaser, but my only water. So on the average across all around the tracks, it sound reasonably loud. I mean the vocals right now. So if maybe you can't hear enough, you can always increase your volume of your speakers or your headphones to compensate for the drop in loudness. This will all be balanced as we progress. Alright, now so let's move on to vocal tuning. Alright, so now we're going to tune the vocal to make sure the pitch is perfect. So we're going to use the stock pitcher, that is the stock plugin in FL Studio called Pitcher. It's really good. So the key of this beat is key C. So make sure it's set, then it's in the major scale of key C. You don't need to mess with anything around here really. All you have to do is dial in this to really determine how much of the auto-tune effect you want. So since the guy is singing is male, so I'll take it all the way to male vocal. So I'm going to play back and adjust this speed, this knob here, as much as it needs needs to be.
Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For me only water, for me only water. Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For me only water. Mami share, mami lolo, mami share, mami lolo, mami share, mami lolo, mami share, mami lolo. Keep it on the lolo, mami share, mami lolo.
All right, so I think it sounds really good for the tuning. So when you're tuning your vocals, you may need to adjust this differently. Yours might be maybe a bit faster or a bit slower, but you are adjusted accordingly until it sounds really good to you. All right, so now let's move on to compression and EQ to make sure we have our multi frequencies cut out and we have a little bit of balance in the dynamics. All right, so a lot of people will argue which should come first, an EQ or a compressor. This is the typical case of chicken or the egg. To me, it really doesn't matter. I usually go with how I feel like. So right now, I think I would like my compressor to come first. And now, when compressing vocal, I have a kind of like a go-to setting I like to use. I usually like to dial this at around, let's say, 135. That is this like one, and this is 35. Just like slantways, or you can even take it all the way halfway to around 12 o'clock or so, or you can just take it all the way around here. But I usually start from here because this is where the compressor is about to start working. This is what determines where the signal is going to get to for the compressor to become active. So the ratio now is simply how much compression do you want. So when I say it should be around 4.1 to 1:1, that means anytime it crosses the threshold by, let's say, 4 dB, it's going to bring it down and only expand the loudness to just 1 dB instead of that 4 dB loudness. So what I'm saying, one thing is that if it comes very loud above 4 dB, or rather within that 4 dB, that is this 4 decibel range, it's going to bring it down and make it just louder by 1 decibel instead of the 4 decibel. So that is basically how ratio works. Then the gain compensation is how loud do you want the vocals to be, like how loud do you want it to be, because when you apply compression, most times it tends to make it less louder, or rather it makes it more quiet. So this is called gain compensation to actually help boost the loudness. We'll not touch this yet. Then the attack is how soon do you want the compressor to work for. So typically for vocals, I don't want anything too crazy. I usually stick to around 10 milliseconds, between 8 to 10 milliseconds. I can get around 12 as well, but let's say 8 to 12 is a fine and safe spot to be. Then for release, I don't really mess with this. I leave it here for most times when I'm mixing vocals. So I'm going to listen and see if we need to make any more adjustments.
Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For me only water, for me only water. Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For me only water. Mami share, mami lolo, mami share, mami lolo, mami share, mami lolo, mami share, mami lolo.
So we can hear a little bit of drop off. Let me zoom this in. We can hear a little bit of drop off somewhere around here. Like it sounds really inconsistent. So to fix that, I'm going to add a second compressor. So I'm going to relax the threshold a little bit, then add another compressor. Instead of making it one hard compression, make it two reasonably soft compression. Same thing, just typical same thing. Then let's say around 10, and then we'll listen again. So now it sounds much more controlled. So if I turn it off and you hear the difference. You can hear how dynamic the vocals sound. Like we're trying to say the bami she bami lo lo, like it sounds like it's about to escape, but this compressor controls it.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo.
So most times one compression is fine, but if you still have inconsistency, you can add a second compression to help tame it even better. And then now let's go on to using equalizer to control the frequencies.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami.
So for lead vocals, most times you want to cut down anything below 80 hertz, somewhere around 80 hertz for most lead vocals. This is where the mod usually is, and it doesn't affect the meat or like the body of the lead vocals. Most lead vocals, the body is usually within from around 100 hertz all the way to 3.5 kilohertz.
Bami she bami lo.
So now we're going to look for resonant frequencies by narrowing this band and then super across for resonant frequencies.
Bami she bami lo lo.
Now we got one, we take this down, and then we'll find another one again.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo.
Now, a lot of people tend to solo their vocals when they're doing this. I don't recommend you solo your vocal. I recommend you play it with the beat so you can find the resonant frequency. Most times, 2 bands or 3 bands at most is fine.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo.
So this resonant frequency is actually within the mid-range. You can see this is around 600 hertz. This is around 1 kilohertz, and this is around 3 kilohertz. So this is where you tend to usually find problematic frequencies, but it varies for artists. A different artist might have a different problem. So now we're going to do another EQ again to enhance the vocal.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she.
So you may want to brighten it up a little bit. Don't go crazy by doing this. Just, you should not, when you're trying to cut or boost at this stage of the EQ, you should not go below 1 to 3 decibel.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo. Keep it on the low low, bami she bami.
All right, so now if I were to take all of this off, you can hear the difference.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami.
Then I turn it back on.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo.
Now it sounds much more cleaner, much more brighter. All right, now, so let's move on to the next lesson, which is reverb. All right, so before we add our reverb, you can notice that our vocal has now become really loud compared to the beat, so we need to increase the loudness of the beat as well.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo.
All right, so now we add our reverb. So one rule for adding reverb, especially as a beginner, because this is one of the easiest places to catch beginners when they mix use of reverb. So when you add your reverb, as soon as you start noticing the reverb effect, then you can tone this down a little bit. The reverb effect I actually hear that sound like it's a lot, it's just simply the decay. It's not really the amount or the wetness, it's the decay time. So reverbs that sound really good usually have a considerable amount of decay time.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami.
So I'm going to increase this decay time. Let me take it to around, let's say, 2.4 seconds, and I turn down the wetness.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo. Keep it on the low low, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo.
So you can also adjust the amount of wetness in with this knob right here.
Bami she bami lo.
So you keep, let me take it all the way down. So I'll keep dialing it up as soon as I hear it.
Bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo. Keep it on the low low, bami she bami lo lo, bami she bami lo lo.
All right, I think I can hear the reverb right now. So it sounds really good. So when adding your reverb, you can see if you want to have that long tail, all you have to do is increase the decay time until it feels good to you. but you don't necessarily need to increase the wetness. You can even turn down the wetness and also adjust the mix knob right here on the mixer. So this is the basic for using Reverb. It can be much more complicated, but this will mostly get you through your mix. All right, so next I'm going to show you another trick to get a more polished mix, which is adding saturation. I'll use this fast distortion plugin right here, turn down the threshold as well, then I'll listen. Then I'll gain stage again by increasing the beats. Alright, so let's move on to the next lesson. Alright, so now we're going to be mastering our song, and we're going to come to this file right here. We have to export it first. Come to Wave, export it. You can export it to a folder that is let me just save it here. Alright, let me save it to my desktop, and then it's going to export. Make sure it's in Wave 24-bit stereo. Please do not export as MP3 for mastering. And we're going to wait for it while it exports. Make sure it's in full song mode as well. And now it's exporting, and then I can drag my, let's see, vocal SCtuts. Yes, then I can drag it back into the project. Then I can right click to solo it, and I'm going to link it to a mixer track where I'm going to be mastering it. Now for we don't really need to add anything like reverb or delay anymore. Just EQ and compression, then a limiter primarily. So the EQ just basically to enhance the track a little bit. So I think the track sound a little bit too bright, so I'm going to dampen it a little by taking out just a little bit of the high end. Like I said, do not cut or boost below, or rather beyond 1 to 3 decibels. Anything beyond that is just doing something else entirely. So I feel like the vocal is a bit too out there, so I'm going to just push in on this mid-range a little bit inside so that it can kind of help talk the vocal in. Versus that makes the vocal sound louder, but when I talk it in here just a little bit, you can monitor my hints panel right here to see how much I'm really driving these things. So I think this is fine. So now I'm going to add Fruity Limiter. Let's see, where is Fruity Limiter? On that dynamic section. All right, so then I'm going to add one more thing that you should know, which is the Fruity dB meter, because when mastering I'm going to detach this. Let's see, detach, so that we can really focus on what's about to happen right now. So when mastering, I recommend that, because for iTunes and Spotify, you don't go beyond 3 decibels. That is between 3 to 5 decibels. Just keep it with that range, because those platforms are going to normalize your tracks, and if it sounds too loud, it's going to sound kind of distorted or clipping, or you can even clamp it down, make it sound even more quiet than it should be. So we're going to, so 3 to 5 decibels usually is safe spots to be. Of course, mastering is much more advanced than this, but this is an easier way for it to get a great result. So I'm going to increase the ceiling and increase the gain a little bit. So you can see this is around minus 12, negative 12 dB. So I'm going to push this harder. So it's still not loud enough. Push this some more, push this harder. Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For me only water, for me only water. Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For
me holy water. Mami share, mami lolo. Mami share, mami lolo. Mami share, mami lolo. Mami share, mami lolo.
You can see we're even just hitting around 3 decibel at the loudest point, so this mix is in safe region. Then now we can export our mix in mp3 and wave. I recommend exporting your master in wave and saving it in wave. You may have mp3 for other informal use, but wave is the best. When you upload on streaming platforms, it preserves the quality, because streaming platforms tend to kind of break down the quality of tracks to make it more easier to stream. But when you have it as wave, even if it breaks it, it's going to make it sound like the highest quality mp3. So it's best you upload your track on iTunes and other platforms in wave format. So I'm going to select this, and it's going to export it as wave and mp3. So you can see I have my 2 tracks right here, vocal mixing tunes. These are the master track. If I play it back,
Hennessy no chaser, but my spliff no filter. For me holy water, for me holy water.
now a rule of thumb is that do not compare the loudness of your track to the songs you already have in your laptop or in your computer, because those tracks are already normalized on streaming platforms. So unless you have a mastered version from a mastering engineer to compare your masters to, do not compare your mastered track to what you have already in mp3 format in your streaming platforms or on your computer. Make sure you stick to within this 3 to 5 safety region in FL Studio with the dB meter. All right then. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to leave us with a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so that people that need this video can easily find it right here on YouTube. And also feel free to check out more of my videos that will help you level up your music making skills. Cheers.